Hello, I'm Christian Shun. I'm a senior scientist at the Learning Research and Development Center at the University of Pittsburgh. Over the last 2 decades, I've spent a lot of time looking at web-based peer feedback, meaning having students submit some kind of document, an essay, a presentation, a project, and then having peers in the class give ratings and comments on the document using a structured process, much like conference reviewing or journal reviewing. I have found that instructors can use web-based peer review to radically change how they teach and what students learn. Let's focus first on the changes to the overall teaching approach.
It really did dramatically change the teaching. So first, it freed up tremendous amount of time, classroom time, because it's a web-based approach. We can now port a lot of really cool activities online, where they don't interfere with the time that we need for lectures and for in-class activities.
It has allowed me to incorporate some writing into a really large lecture-based multiple choice assessment class, where doing some kind of writing would be impossible without this kind of automation. So without me having to give direct feedback, these students get to write short papers on what I consider some of the most difficult material in the course. And that just forces them to really work through it and make sure they understand it. And then of course, grade each other's writing, which helps even more. So it just allows me to incorporate that kind of learning, the kind of learning that comes from being forced to write about something into such a large class, which absolutely could not do without this system.
We can dig deep into modern research, into modern primary literature. We get to model some key professional activities such as conference presentations.
In my own teaching, I've been able to assign 4 large group projects, even in classes with hundreds of students. Now let's talk about changes in student learning that result from moving away from exams.
So at the end of the term, I do ask them, did the writing assignments contribute to your learning? And 80%, agree or strongly agree that the writing portion has contributed.
Also, they get to do this at their own time and pace, right? So nobody rushes them through that manuscript, nobody rushes them through that presentation. They get to sit down at their own pace, at their own time, in their own room, think about it, develop their own understanding, their own techniques. So it's a lower stress, lower stakes environment where knowledge can truly flourish and not get rushed,
We had that where he was reading through the PowerPoints and going over things, and then outside of class we were doing the projects, which was a very different way of learning and working with the material and the concepts we were learning about, which I really liked.
And now let's focus more specifically on the value of getting and giving peer feedback.
I got to actually see everyone's projects, and that I probably would not have otherwise if I was not assigned to give them feedback. So I got to learn about all these other topics that people were interested in learning about, which was really cool. And then it also made me I had to looking for certain things of all right, here are the requirements, what do they need to hit? And did they hit them effectively and in a way that made learning about this topic easy or difficult, and how do I help that person then get to where it can be a lot more accessible to more people.
I think it could give them insight into where they stand in the understanding, which in some cases is fantastic, and they might read it and go, wow, I understand it way better than these 3 people I'm reviewing. And in other cases, might give them an aha moment that, oh, this is what it was about, that's what I was supposed to do.
That it wasn't people just giving I don't want to do this, I'm just going to give a good grade to everything and type a little tiny response. There were people who would have paragraphs that was here are things you did well, here are things you need to work on, and it was actually very helpful.
The research literature on peer feedback has exploded over the last decade. Meta-analyses have looked across the studies, and the cumulative evidence is now very strong. Giving comments to peers with the support of a good web-based tool improves student learning.
To learn more about peer review, faculty and students can check out the Learning from Peer Assessment website.